Fall comes to us in its own time. Fighters, keepers, losers, we.
Man, this woman is a keeper. Put a ring on this.
Because I know it's the most powerful position. Following the lead is less work than being the lead. Shutting the fuck up requires less energy than me running my mouth. Wanting control is a lot more stressful than actually having control in submission. That's gonna go over some heads. Nothing makes a man move like a meek, gentle, feminine spirit. Nothing makes him run like a loud, puffed up, masculine one. Being a weaker vessel lets him know that he has to step up and be the strong one. My protector, my provider, my man. Being a woman is way less tedious than being a man. He has the muscle. When I am weak, he will be strong. I become his reason, not his headache. I don't want no sore boy, so I'm grateful for my position. Because I love to see him in his power, and I love to yield to his power.
Man, this woman is a keeper. Put a ring on this.
The good black woman has self-discipline. That's self-control. Let me make that real for you, sisters. We can start with our mouth. The good black woman can control her mouth. She don't have to say everything that comes up. It's okay if he get the last word sometime. She don't cuss in public. And she works on not cussing in private. She don't tear a man down with her mouth because they can't out-argue us. Can't nobody out-argue us. I have charged that we nag our men too much. We keep our men's head tied up so much with our petty grievances about our personal relationship that he don't have time to think and plan for our future. Because he got to deal with what's going to happen with us every day. You know, it's real odd. When the black man come home, he almost have to do a wind test.
I'm tired of hearing pussy is power. It's a gabillion good coochies out here. If your man gives you a blueprint and tells you, this is how I want you to love me, this is how I want you to tend to me, cater to me, nurture me, whatever, so that I could be content in this relationship, why are you not listening? You don't go to a job and they give you the job description and you fucking wing it. So why are you winging it in your relationship and expecting the man to, you know, be loyal to you? I'm confused. But you want a man to love you in your love language. Women need to stop that one-sided ish. I can't stand it. If you two choose to come together and y'all verbalize things, why not respect it? Don't you think that would make the relationship go much easier? It's like y'all make it harder and then you wonder why this man is unhappy.
It's him no more.
Ma'am, book a session.
Why do you think a woman who is an average looking, below average physicality, below average weight, can sit around talking about they're going to hold out? Or wait, what are you waiting for? The answer is what many are waiting for is a sucker. They're waiting for somebody to go ahead and say, you know what? Even though you got 200,000 miles on you and had a couple of wrecks, I'm going to go ahead and pay brand new prices for it.
Cognitive dissonance is a condition that happens for a myriad of reasons. Many times in modern America, men and women often do one of the following. They deny the evidence. They become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They argue to ad hominem attacks, meaning they attack the messenger instead of the message. And they will fight you or flee because they cannot hear what you are saying. A condition such as this, tied into cognitive dissonance, often happens to those that have or lack self-awareness. They stay in a perpetual cycle of arrested development, exhibited by this.
Dudes and these passport bros, y'all don't woman correctly. And then when she tell you that, now she ain't shit. No, go look. I bet you it'll solve a lot of problems between us. Cause y'all don't know how and you mad cause we do.
This is the best mental health promo I ever heard in my life.
I'm being honest with
Your mind
y'all.
impacts your dick.
Fall comes to us in its own time. Finders keepers, losers we.
Well, listen, I appreciate that, Quiet Storm. I'm honored that you said that, man, because doing these shows are not easy. It's not easy doing these shows, man. And I am a licensed therapist, and this is edutainment for me, using clinical concepts from an ethnocentric perspective. And so, man, I'm honored that you said that, man. I really appreciate that, brother. Thank you, the Quiet Storm. You and I have talked in the back, and I got nothing but love and respect for you. You, Gregory Scotland, Salty Balls, and membership channel of the Kosher Clinician. There are 4 levels to this channel. There is Kosher Novice, Kosher Apprentice, Kosher Master, and the highest honors is Kosher King. You guys know I am the Kosher Clinician, and everything I do or strive to do is fit and proper. But many times we know that YouTube is a very competitive business. Some get it from the mud like me, some actually steal talking points, or more or less parrot talking points without consent or giving credence to the person that did the actual work. And because of that, I'm going to start making most of my content membership only to the great guys like Gregory Scotland, The Quiet Storm, my man Saul, and many others that always donate to the channel. Feel free to click on the link to the membership button. It'll give you all the explicit instructions that you need, and continue to enjoy content like this as listed to the top as we continue to strive to empower men from all ages and all adages. You know and I know that creating content takes a lot of time. And in order for me to ensure that my time is merited, to ensure that you guys are getting the best content to those, especially those that donate and show love on a regular basis, I've taken upon myself to take my craft seriously, or very serious, and to more or less ensure that you, the faithful listeners, men and women, but mostly men, are getting the best content possible so that you can not only get your needs met, but also so that I can ensure that I get the proper revenue, as these streams take a lot of time and they take a lot of work. And I need you guys to understand this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become optimized, and understanding why becoming a member of this prestigious channel is paramount as we seek for resolve in times when male-centered content is not only under attack, but so is masculinity. Be well. Hit that like button. Go ahead. Do it now before I reach out into that screen and twist your hand like Aunt Esther. Hit the like button. Thank you.
Destroy. Remember those days, those L's, I couldn't sleep right now, I get paid.
McLeod Bethune. I was born in 1875 in South Carolina and was the 15th of 17 children born to former slaves. I believe that everyone had the potential to succeed if given the opportunity, and that education was the key to success.
Did you know that one of history's courageous advocates was Fannie Lou Hamer, a trailblazer in the fight for civil rights and equality? Her story is a testament to the power of resilience and the pursuit of justice. Fannie Lou Hamer, born in the 20th century, was a visionary much like the richest man in history, with her wealth measured not in material possessions, but in the change she inspired and the hope she ignited. With unwavering determination, she fearlessly challenged racial segregation and voter suppression in the American South. Like buried treasure, her unwavering dedication to equality and justice awakened the nation's conscience. Fannie Lou Hamer's impact on the civil rights movement was like thunder, shaking the foundations of inequality and paving the way for lasting change. Her courage and determination led her to organize voter registration efforts, advocate for education, and fight against racial discrimination.
Fire for your mind. The Culture Clinician.
If it ain't seven, it ain't culture. Heaven and hell, that's what they told you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up and young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues, asking fathers who miss you, mama drama don't kiss you, all a part of the ritual, this is how they get you, separate the men, women, clipping babies, pretend to, damn, lovers, haters, acting like vultures, if it ain't seven, it ain't kosher, if it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us, if it ain't seven, it ain't kosher, if it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us, if it ain't seven, it ain't kosher, if it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is Culture Connection. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is Culture Connection. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is Culture Connection. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is Culture Connection. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen.
All right, guys, bring it to you live from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State. Guys, it's a pleasure to have the 9 that are watching on tonight. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. I hope you guys had a great time with your family and had an opportunity to get some needed rest and relaxation. But this show is dear to me. This show is very dear to me because I'm a firm believer, guys, that women of the past were the greatest women ever. They were the greatest women ever. Not because they were perfect, but they were the greatest women ever because they were more aware. They understood the assignment. They were women of character. And they were women that had more or less feminine demure. But the problem with modern women now, guys, is this. Not only are they not women of feminine demure, not only are they women not of character, many, not all, but they don't want to be women of character. And they've taken their disdain for traditional women to an all-time high. When righteous women strive to be women of valor and women of greatness, they shame those women into silence by calling them pygmies and calling them all types of names because they are full of rebellion. And, you know, there was a time, guys, where women of the past held other women accountable. The women want to be women of virtue, and women that had bad behavior, they were shamed. But that's no longer in the world that we live in now. So I submit to those that are listening, to the righteous men and the righteous sisters. Hit one if you think black women of the past were the greatest women ever. I need you to hit one if you think black women of the past were the greatest women ever. And I say that, guys, because in my mind, and I've said it several times, that there was no woman that was better than the American black woman. She was not perfect. She had her idiosyncrasies, and we're going to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly of the greatest women of all time. She had her pains, her fears, her lusts, her desires to be like the white woman, some of them, and Miss Anne. But you couldn't find a woman more resilient than the American black woman. And the women of the past, guys, they are no longer here today. And the problem with this, guys, is that they always paint men in a negative light. They paint men in a negative light. And they tend to assume that in all things associated with masculinity is wrong. And I know, guys, and you know that that's not the case. That's not the case. Because women of the past, and I stand on it, they were the greatest women ever. Guys, do me a favor, share this stream, hit the like button, donate to the channel, and share the content if you don't have any money. But I wanted to do this show once again, as I said earlier, because many would say they always talk about black women or women in general. And listen, my channel is for men and male empowerment and righteous sisters and righteous women that are striving to become the better versions of themselves. But it's hard to find women like women of yesterday. And when you hear men talk about their distress and their pain, this is not a black woman issue. This is an American woman issue. And this American issue continues to permeate all through the stratas of America. And so I submit to the good men that are listening, when you get an opportunity to marry and be with a good woman or date a good woman, don't mess that woman up. Don't mess that woman up and mess her life up. Treat that woman with respect. Treat that woman with kindness. Treat that woman with dignity. Because see, when you abuse a good woman, you put her in a predicament where she got to be like the modern women that we complain about. And so once again, guys, it's important that we look out for good women, because fall comes to us in its own time. And then, as the wine has said back in the past, finders, keepers, losers, weepers.
Fall comes to us in its own time.
Finders, keepers, losers, weepers.
And guys, I decided to choose Mahalia Jackson, Fannie Lou Hamer, Ruby Davis, and also Mary McLeod Bethune, because not only were they strong women, they exemplified a level of demure that's uncanny to modern times. But once again, there's good, bad, and ugly associated with women of that generation as well. But one could argue that those women were mostly the greatest women ever, or women like them, your great-grandmothers and your grandmothers, and some of your mothers, depending on your age. Because you will be hard-pressed to find women that are virtuous. Who can find a virtuous woman? Those women are hard to find. And one will argue that, it's hard to find good men too. Well, I don't know about all that. There are some men that have their issues as well. But I will argue that it's easier for men to find a woman to find a halfway decent man than it is for the 80% of men that are invisible to find a quality woman of a high level of character and appeal. Because we know that women by nature are very hypergamous. So once again, guys, as we're going to explore this show tonight, a show that's been on my heart, dear to my heart for a while, we're going to talk about these 4 great icons of black queens and black women, what they mean to me, what they meant to you. And we're going to break down how each of these women not only transformed the world, but also how women like this were transformative, where black women and black men were in unison together. The greatest black women of the world. What say you? Some say one, say totally they were. And see, guys, this is what men yearn for. They yearn for women like this. They yearn for women that were women of the past. But see, we're in fall, and fall comes to us in its own time. Some of you men are in the fall of your lives, and you're looking for a woman, and a woman that's a woman of virtue, a woman that's an icon of virtue. And you're tired of knocking on the door of opportunity only to be rejected because you cannot find a woman that exemplifies the level of femininity and the level of grace that you so desire. And the problem with this proclamation is this, guys, is that when you begin to tell your story, when you begin to become frustrated, no one wants to hear your story, and no one wants to hear your pain, which is a problem. So once again, guys, we're going to get deep into it on tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. And once again, guys, the greatest women ever, black women of the past, they were the greatest women ever.
Fall comes to us in its own time. Finders keepers, losers we.
All right, guys, we're going to explore how these 4 women that I chose were some of the greatest women ever. Shout out to my man D. May, Kings and Queens. Shout out to him. And we're going to explore how some of these women were the greatest women ever. Because you will be hard-pressed to find women like this now. They are rare, and they are hard to find. Once again, guys, we're going to talk about the good, we're going to talk about the bad, and we're going to talk about the ugly. The good is this. Women like Mary McLeod Bethune, Fannie Lou Hamer, Mahalia Jackson, and Ruby Davis or Ruby D, they were more readily available in the past. But we know, guys, that these women now are hard to find because of so much indoctrination. And that's why men are getting passports and they're traveling abroad, because they're tired. They're frustrated. They're looking for resolve. They're looking for righteous women. They're looking for women that can speak life or more or less pour into them. Not women that are combative and cantankerous. So guys, we're going to get deep into it. And Do me a favor, guys. Once again, hit the like button. Donate to the channel. And once again, thank you to all the guys that are members. Guys, the membership is on now. If you're not a member, become a member. Because male-centered content, guys, is necessary. But also, it appears to be under attack. So, guys, go get your membership if you have not gotten it. And, guys, we're about to go down the rabbit hole in a minute. But this is a public service announcement, guys. Because we're not going to find women like these anymore. Because these women are rare and far and few in between. All right, so let me get this. But before we do it, guys, we're about to go down the rabbit hole. Let's go down the rabbit hole before we start. And we're about to go down the rabbit hole.
What did we do to her? You mean, what did she do to us? She had the nerve to call us witches.
And she was right. You 3 ugly witches.
All right, guys, we're about to go down the rabbit hole. Hit one of you ready to go down the rabbit hole. Hit one of you ready to go down the rabbit hole, guys, and we're going to explore what happened to good black women of the past, guys. Donate to the channel. Share the stream, please. Down the rabbit hole we go. Let's go.
Down the rabbit hole we go. This is the part of the show where we assess, examine, collaborate.
Mary McLeod Bethune. My name is Mary McLeod Bethune. My name is...
All right, guys, we're going to get deep into it. And this is one icon of virtue that I respect, Mary McLeod Bethune. And we're going to look at her story. And we're going to get deep into it. Hold tight.
Mary McLeod Bethune. I was born in 1875 in South Carolina and was the 15th of 17 children born to former slaves. I believed that everyone had the potential to succeed if given the opportunity, and that education was the key to success. So I dedicated my life to ensure that all...
And see, guys, this is a stark difference between what we have now. There was a time where our ancestors believed in the power and the virtue of education. The mothers understood that education was the poverty eradicator. But you don't have that anymore because many of our children cannot read and write. A lot of these women that are breeding with these unsavory men, they don't value education. But what they do, guys, what they do value is teaching their kids how to be debaucherous. And they value stuff like Pound Town. And I'm going to show you guys something. Hold tight. I'm going to show you guys something. Shout out to my man Kevin White for the 7. I appreciate it. Kevin White always showing love. And Kevin White is the #1 sponsor of this stream. Thank you, Kevin White. Thank you, sir, for being so kind. Thank you, sir. But I'm going to show you guys how women of the past are totally different than women now. A large percentage of them. And we know it's not all of them. We know it's not all of them. But I'm going to have to do a show on this at some point. Mary McLeod Bethune understood the importance of the power of education, guys. And I used to be a former teacher. But this is what you have to deal with now.
Pound Town, I'm playing them Princess Tiana.
There is something wrong when a 5-year-old is asking to listen to Pound Town. Let's go. I am sick of these teachers. I am sick of these teachers having to get on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and tell parents to correct their children. There is no reason why a 5-year-old is asking to listen to Pound Town. What the fuck are y'all doing as parents that a 5-year-old little girl or 5-year-old little girls are asking to listen to Pound Town?
And that's the problem, guys. 5-year-old little girls are asking to listen to Pound Town. But see, when I say something about bad behavior, because I taught school too, and I know what these teachers are talking about because I saw it about 15 years ago, one of the reasons why I got out of education. And it's worse now. But you look at the stark difference between great women and great icons of virtue like Mary Cloud Bethune and what you guys have now, when education is not of value, but debauchery and being the thought is. And they wonder why our kids in the black community in such shambles, but got a nerve to blame upstanding black men and the good black sisters that are trying to do the right thing.
Let's get a few things out of the way. That song is inappropriate as fuck. And if your 5-year-old knows it, you are failing as a parent. That's number one. Number two, these teachers do not get paid enough to take disrespect and abuse from you and your fucking offspring. Those are your children. You want to let them disrespect you and other people? Keep them at home. You don't want anybody correct.
Let me tell you something, guys. When I was in school, you would get paddled for disrespecting teachers. Being a teacher was an honor back in the past. Being educated was a high honor. Teachers were seen as pillars in the community. That's what prompted me, guys, to want to become an educator. But you would be a fool to teach school or be into education now. Because not only can you get your life or lose your life or get severely hurt, but many times the administrators are not going to back you up because it's a cutthroat business. But when you look at the comparison, the contrast of a Mary Cloud Bethune and the modern woman, this is a stark difference of where our communities were in the past. But they don't value what they value of yesterday.
Your child, keep them at home. See, I'm going to tell y'all what the problem is. It's all this gentle parenting shit. See, our parents didn't get everything right, but they didn't get everything wrong either, because we fucking knew better. We knew not to disrespect any adult. Otherwise, we were going to hear about it and probably feel it when we got home. Now, before everybody get in the comments and talk about how, it's abuse, spanking is wrong, yelling is wrong, all of this other goofy shit, you know what? It made us better people. I'm not saying it was right, but it made us better people because we fucking knew better. We knew not to stand up. We knew not to buck up at a teacher. We knew not to buck up at...
And that's the problem there, guys. All this liberal stuff. This is not consistent with black or more or less black tradition. Our ancestors never agreed with that. Elder culture and elder respect is paramount in African tradition. But some of this stuff is European ethnocentrism, when they transmit their values to us and they expect us to say, don't spank your child. You should never hurt your child or spank your child out of anger. But there are times after you have exhausted everything that you can, give a child a tap on the hand or open hand on the buttocks. But nowadays, these fools say that it hurt their self-esteem. And it doesn't. Because Dr. Spock thought the spanking was detrimental. And Dr. Spock changed his mind on the end.
At our parents, we fucking knew better. It was not acceptable for a 5-year-old to tell their teacher, I ain't got to listen to you. You ain't my mom. I ain't got to do this. I ain't got to listen. I ain't got to sit down. And then you have the parents that decide, oh, well, if she don't want to sit there, she ain't got to. Well, what does she do? What does she do? It ain't that serious. If it ain't that serious, why you keep your child at home? I will not stress that enough. You see, here's the problem that we are having. Y'all kids wake up and choose audacity and entitlement, and y'all co-sign that shit. Nobody has to deal with your disrespectful ass child. That's your child. You have to remember something. These teachers are getting paid to do a job. And yes, while they signed on to teach, they didn't sign up to be disrespected. You wouldn't let a grown person disrespect.
And guys, here's the problem. You can't be a teacher unless you have a willing disciple. I'm going to say it again. You cannot be a teacher unless you have a willing disciple. And the problem now is that there's not enough willing disciples because the women that are raising these kids are chaotic. And they're raising these kids from worthless men. They got them kids and mess with their life. Shout out to my man, The Quiet Storm, for the $20 piece. As The Quiet Storm is the #1 sponsor of the stream. I appreciate it. The Quiet Storm, the Quiet International Storm is the #1 sponsor of the stream. I appreciate it. Always showing love. And guys, if you are not a member, go get your membership. The Quiet Storm is the #1 sponsor of this stream. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Quiet Storm, as he's the #1 sponsor of the stream. I appreciate it, guys. We're going to get back into it as we see the dichotomy between women of the past and women now.
You at your job, you going to let a 5-year-old do it? No, right? You wouldn't take that shit from nobody else's 5-year-old, so why should anybody have to take it from yours? See, the problem is, as Bill Maher said, we live in the hey buddy generation. Hey buddy, can you put your shoes on? Hey buddy, how do you feel about cleaning your room? Our parents didn't talk to us like that. A lot of our houses sounded like a trap house. It sounded like Def Comedy Jam on Friday night. Hey, go put your damn shoes on before you get left. Let's go. Can you clean your room? How do you feel about cleaning your room? Saturday morning, everybody was cleaning up.
And guys, that tends to be more of a Eurocentric parenting style. There are all white people that are more direct, but that tends to be more Eurocentric. Mostly in black families and black traditional families, they didn't ask you what you could do. They told you what you will do. And if you didn't do it, it was a consequence. But the world now is radically different, guys. And that's why we don't have women like Mary McLeod Bethune and traditionalism in the black families and the black community.
And if your room looked like it barely survived Katrina, if you don't clean this room right fucking now, they ain't have to finish the sentence. We already knew. See, what everybody needs to understand is that these 5-year-old girls will be 15-year-old girls, will be 25-year-old girls. Correct your children before the Department of Corrections has to correct them. See, then it's out of your control. Correct your children before somebody that ain't nice corrects your children. Because everybody ain't going to take that shit from them. I ain't saying anybody going to swing on a 5-year-old, but when she 12 and 13 and 14 and she decide to buck up to a grown woman, she going to fuck around and find out. Do better with our fucking children. Pound Town. Oh my God, Pound Town. Like, goddamn, what the fuck?
And guys, excuse her language, but this is how bad the world's gotten. They're talking about Pound Town. Babies are talking about Pound Town.
5-year-old daughters are asking, can we hear Pound Town? I'm playing them Princess Tiana.
Hold tight.
PK to elementary school,
Now listen to this,
high
guys.
school, I'm calling you out.
Y'all listen to
The
this.
children today, I have never experienced, and I'm 22. Having to teach and work with you guys as children has been the most traumatic experience of my life. I teach 5-year-olds ballet. 5-year-old girls ballet. I have a class of 10 students. They don't respect any authority. You ask them,
And God, here's the problem. When you got women like Miss Evans that challenged me and some of these other delusional women, and when we say that, we didn't say all women are like this, but it's more women like what this young woman is talking about, that are these women are raising these wild children, these hyena children, because they got kids by loser men, and these loser men didn't take care of their children.
Let's go back it just a little bit.
When you try to tell them what's going on and why men are checking out, instead of them listening to what men are saying, and instead of them listening to righteous women, they rebel and they try to make it assume that you are crazy. But you got 5-year-old babies talking about Pound Town. Make it make sense, guys.
can you stand in your designated spot? They're telling you no and shut up. They're throwing things at each other. They're throwing things at other people, other classmates. You say, can everybody sit in their spot? I don't want to. I'm not doing that. You don't get to tell me what to do. You're not my mom. You confront the parent. The parent tries to argue with you and fuss at you because you tried to reprimand and redirect their kid. I told a young little girl, please sit in your spot. You're not my mom. You don't tell me what to do. Okay. When her mom came to pick her up, I said, hey, your daughter's having a hard time following instructions. And 7 times today, I've had to redirect her to just sit in her spot. Well, clearly she didn't want to sit. And mind you, this is a mom. Clearly she didn't want to sit right there. So, I mean, if she's telling you she don't want to do something, why keep asking her to do it? You know she's not going to do it. What world do we live in?
And God, this is the world that we live in now. And guys, because of that, the chicken's going to come home to roost because modern women dropped the Kool-Aid.
America's chickens are coming home to roost.
Live in? Like, what in you guys' brain as a parent says, my kid not following any directions is a great thing. It's not that serious, and y'all don't have a right to tell her what to do. It's sad. It's sad. It's really, really sad. And another thing that's heart-wrenching, is horrifying. It is horrifying. Your 5-year-old daughters are asking to listen to Pound Town.
Listen, guys.
And Ski.
Babies are asking to listen to Pound Town. Because their ratchet mammies are not teaching them anything different. They got guys like Raekwon, the man, loser men. And then after they give their wombs to these loser men, they want you to come back and take care of, all of her children, not children, but all of her children, guys.
And Gary, all our suffering, all our pain, somebody needs to be held accountable, and they need to pay.
And God, this level of dysfunction is more of the norm in the black community than it is not the norm.
Your daughters, your 5-year-old daughters are asking, can we hear Pound Town? I'm playing them Princess Tiana ballet music. And they are asking me, can we hear Pound?
Look at this beautiful young lady, guys, breaking down. Look at this beautiful young lady breaking down. Because the children that she's trying to teach are not disciplined because their mothers are not disciplined. And she's like watching, or more or less listening, to Pound Town. Guys, y'all showing a lot of love on the night. Shout out to a sower of seed. Shout out to that dear brother. I appreciate a sower of seed for the $5 cash app. Thank you, a sower of seed. And you are dynamite, sir. I appreciate it, sower of seed. Thank you, sir, for being so kind. I appreciate sower of seed. Thank you, sir.
You're dynamite.
And leading on tonight for the Cash Apps is the Quiet Storm, as he is the #1 sponsor of the stream. I appreciate it. And once again, all the brothers that donated and hit the Cash App, this goes to you.
It's the money.
I don't know what to do. And I'm so scared for these little girls today because...
And guys, I feel sorry for this beautiful young woman because once again, when I taught school, I saw it. And I saw it happening about 10 to 13 years ago. That's why I got out of education. Because like I said, guys, you got a bunch of wild hyenas that are thoughts, and they're raising these children because they got with some of these no-good men. They were like Raekwon and Man and Day Day, and they're causing a bunch of chaos.
I don't want no scrub. A scrub is a guy that can't get no love from me.
I don't want no hoe. A hoe can't get no money from me. I don't want no hoe.
This is the most insane agenda push I have ever seen in my life. We do freeze dance. You guys as daughters are twerking at 5. Where's the parenting? Where's the boundaries? Where's the help? Y'all are not helping your kids. You're hurting them. You guys are hurting them. I come every day dressed, ready to go, and I'm in school too. I'm in college. I mean, I put bows in my hair. I'm wearing leotards. I'm trying to get them interested in like proper things for their age, and you guys are exposing your kids to this raunchy secular music.
They don't want to change, guys. And that's why I don't blame you single men not to get past. That's why I don't blame you single men for wanting to find a traditional woman from a foreign country. With the understanding that foreign women are not perfect. A woman's going to be a woman regardless of where you go. But the odds of finding a better woman abroad is greater abroad than it is here in America. Because you got to go through so much crap to get to a decent woman that it's not worth your time, guys, because the greatest women, guys, of the past are no longer here. And consistent with Marvin Winans, he said that fall comes to us in its own time. Finders keepers, losers weepers. The greatest women of the past are no longer here among us, guys.
Fall comes to us in its own time. Finders keepers, losers weep.
Why is you guys' 5-year-old's daughter singing Pound Town? PK to elementary school.
And this beautiful woman, she gets it, guys. But it's hard to find women like Mary McLeod Bethune
All people,
and
regardless
women
of race
like
or
this
gender,
of the past. They
had
don't value
access to it.
education no more.
One of my most significant accomplishments was founding the Bethune-Cookman University, a historically black college in Florida, which continues to serve students of color to this day. I served as an advisor on Black American issues to President Roosevelt and founded the National Council on Negro Women, as well as the National Youth Administration, which provided on-the-job training and education to young people during the Great Depression.
The story of Mary McLeod Bethune. McLeod was born in 1875 in a small log cabin near Maysville, South Carolina, on a rice and cotton farm in Smutner County. She was the 15th of 17 children born to Sam and Patsy McLeod, both former slaves. Most of her siblings had been born into slavery. Her parents wanted to be independent, so they had sacrificed to buy a farm for the family.
And God, that's why some argue the integration was the worst thing that happened to black people. Because black folks were more mission-oriented in the past. And once again, guys, this show is going to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly of the greatest women ever. We're talking about the good right now. Because Mary McLeod Bethune did more or less espouse the good. We'll get to the bad of her in a minute, and then we'll get to the ugly.
As a child, Mary would accompany her mother to deliver white people's wash. Allowed to go into the white children's nursery, Mary became fascinated with her toys. One day she picked up a book and she opened it. A white child snatched it away from her.
Hey gang, the last day of Black History Month, day 28. Here we are. We made it. It's been fun. It's been exhausting for me though, but I'm so glad to have shared all these interesting facts, all these amazing people with you. And I thought today I really have to go out with a banger, especially leading into March, which is Women's History Month. So we're going to go out with a phenomenal black woman who really changed the game. Mrs. Mary Bethune, she was one of the most pivotal educators, civil and women's rights leaders of the 20th century. She was picking 250 pounds of cotton a day by the time she was 9 years old, and she is a pioneer in the foundational standards that have been set for HBCUs today. After attending Scotia Seminary in 1894, there were no churches willing to sponsor her as a missionary. So this is where, while living in South Carolina, she decided to become an educator, which thankfully for us was the best decision she could have made. She married, had a son. They moved to Florida. While in Florida, she worked at a Presbyterian church, and she also sold insurance on the side. Becoming a single mother after divorcing her husband.
Now, the good is that there were more women like Mary McLeod Bethune that believe in family. But here's the bad. Some of the women like Mary McLeod Bethune-Cookman had a veneer of feminism. She chose to become a single mother based on what I'm hearing. I could be wrong, but it says she divorced her husband. I don't know what the reason was, but a lot of those women of the past were first wave feminists. They were part of the suffragettes. They were first wave feminists. And even though they are nowhere near as bad as women now, the formation of what you're seeing now, guys, was beginning to come in its full manifestation. And what you have now, guys, is something radical.
In 1904, she had to make them coins, so she opened the Daytona Beach Literary and Industrial School for training Negro girls. This school that she founded would eventually become a college, and so in 1929, she merged with the all-male Cookman College to form Bethune-Cookman, which is what we know it as today, and in 1943, they handed out their first degrees. She was a huge part of the women's suffrage movement, and in 1920, the 19th Amendment was ratified, and in 1924, she became the president of the National Association of Colored Women's Clubs. In 1935, she became the founding president of the National Council of Negro Women. Women gaining the right to vote wasn't enough, and she was a hands-on individual, so she wanted to get black voters transitioned from the Republican Party to the Party of Lincoln to the Democratic Party during the Great Depression. In 1936, she became the highest-ranking black woman in government, and President Roosevelt named her as the Director of Negro Affairs of the National Youth Administration. In 1937, she held a conference on the problems of the Negro and the Negro youth and to stop discrimination and lynching. In 1940, she became the vice president of the national chapter of the NAACP. In 1942, as a member of the advisory board that made the Women's Army Corps, she made sure that it was racially integrated. She would be the only woman of color.
So a lot of these women, guys, of the past, they were movers and shakers. These women were movers and shakers of the past, and they believed in the power of education. Unlike so many now, guys, sadly. They were movers and shakers, unlike so many now.
At the very first founding conference of the United Nations in 1945, and she was appointed by President Harry Truman. She was also a businesswoman who co-founded the Central Life Insurance Company, and she also co-owned a Daytona, Florida resort. Because of her relentless, brave work, she gained a statue in Washington, D.C. in 1974 and a postage stamp in 1985. It's been an amazing month with you guys, educating and learning right along with you guys. So keep being great, keep shining, keep defying the odds, and keep doing everything that they tell you can't do.
It's part 2. Legend has it that Mary McLeod Bethune started the Daytona Beach Literary.
And see, guys, a lot of times, guys, a lot of these women didn't see themselves as a collective of black men and black women together. But they do, as they do now, they see themselves outside of the black collective. A sower seed said, I would just wonder, what did the young lady mean by us? Us as in black women only, or us as in men and women? Black men and women. Probably us meaning women only, sower seed. Well, I can't qualify that 100%.
An industrial school for training Negro girls with $1.50. And this legend might be true, but what really helped Mary get the school up and running was her faith and her ability to get great donors. He once said, I consider cash money as the smallest part of my resources. I had faith in a living God, faith in myself, and a desire to serve. Our girl was an excellent fundraiser, okay? Mary was even able to get white donors from the North and in Daytona to come together in one of the racist times in America to build a school for African American girls. This should not at all be taken lightly. This was a big deal. And if Mary was alive today, she would definitely have a show on HGTV, because this was probably one of the best DIY projects to ever happen. Mary used whatever she could find to make this dream come true. She got somebody to donate a shack for the schoolhouse. Together with her students, they made pencils with burnt wood, pens with elderberry juice, used old crates for desks and chairs, and she stayed looking at the city dump and dumpsters behind hotels looking for pieces she could repurpose for the school. She taught these DIY skills to her students because she wanted them to know that nothing could stop them when they were going after their dreams, and it really paid off. Because Mary opened her boarding school for African American girls in 1904 with 6 students, one of which being her son, beginning every day telling her students, come in, little girl, we've been expecting you. I hope you'll be happy here. And they were, y'all. And to no surprise to any of us, the school grew. And before she knew it, Mary was putting down a down payment on land for the school's next space. And soon she had to hire people to help her so that she could focus on fundraising. And eventually the school...
And guys, a lot of times, because women by nature tend to be selfish, while human beings can be selfish, women tend to be very selfish unless they're good women and aware women. They don't think us first. They think themselves first, which is a problem.
That started with 6 students and homemade school supplies grew into the amazing college that still exists today in Florida by the name of Bethune-Cookman University. Isn't that cool? And you might be thinking, okay, so now we're done with Mary's story. But we're not. This was actually not the only area that Mary became a trailblazer in. She went on to become very involved in politics in D.C. In 1924, she became the president of the National Association for Colored Women's Clubs. Then in 1935, she became the founding president of the National Council of Negro Women. And then, y'all, she had become such good friends with a woman by the name of Eleanor Roosevelt. Yes, the Eleanor Roosevelt, one of the most influential first ladies that we've ever had. And it eventually led to her becoming the highest ranking African American woman in government, because President Roosevelt named her the Director of Negro Affairs of the National Youth Administration, where she remained until 1944. She was also a leader in President Roosevelt's unofficial black cabinet. And because at this point, our girl is like American royalty, in 1945, she's appointed by President Truman to be the only woman of color at the founding conference for the United Nations, y'all. All of this, and not to mention she was also a businesswoman who owned a resort and insurance company in Florida. And in her passing, she's been honored with a stamp and a statue in DC. And just last month, y'all, Mary McLeod Bethune became the first African American to get a statue in the National Statuary Hall in the U.S. Capitol. This is why I do what I do. I want black women to be normalized for the great contributions they have made to making this country a better place.
And you notice, guys, once again, when it comes down to servitude and protection, they talk black love. But when it comes down to power, they don't talk black love. They talk individualism. And that's why, guys, you can't be a sucker for love.
We literally are products of their rejections, their resilience, and their ability to persevere in great times of adversity. And honestly, we should probably all want to be married when we grow up one day. So for more stories like this, follow along and shop the site for herstory with style and grace.
Did you know that one of history's courageous advocates was Fannie Lou Hamer, a trailblazer in the fight for civil rights and equality? Her story is a testament to the power of resilience and the pursuit of justice. Fannie Lou Hamer, born in the 20th century, was a visionary much like the richest man in history, with her wealth measured not in material possessions, but in the change she inspired and the hope she ignited.
And see, guys, women like Fannie Lou Hamer believed in resolve for black men and black women. That's the good. But the bad is this. Many use women like Fannie Lou Hamer, some of the feminists use her as a talking point by saying that many men undermine her and then give her the opportunity to lead. Not understanding that back then it was incumbent upon the men to lead. And not saying that women could not have a place in the movement. Black men themselves are already subjugated, so why would they put their women above the mission of what men were trying to do for their communities? And the ugly is that you got movements like Black Lives Matters and these liberal Marxist organizations that use these opportunities as an opportunity to talk about suppression and demonizing black families and black men.
Wavering determination, she fearlessly challenged racial segregation and voter suppression in the American South. Like buried treasure, her unwavering dedication to equality and justice awakened the nation's conscience. Fannie Lou Hamer's impact on the civil rights movement was like thunder, shaking the foundations of inequality and paving the way for lasting change. Her courage and determination led her to organize voter registration efforts, advocate for education, and fight against racial discrimination. She co-founded the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, demanding equal representation and opportunity for all. Though her journey was marked by adversity, Fannie Lou Hamer's legacy as a symbol of empowerment and progress lives on. Her relentless fight for justice and her unyielding spirit continue to inspire activists and advocates around the world.
We are human beings, and we are not stopping now till we get something that's better. We worked all these years for nothing. Women have gone to the field and worked from 10 to 12 hours for $3 a day. And I know what it is to suffer, and I know what it is to be hungry, and we are not going to stop. Even if I have to give my life, it will make it better for some. See, Mississippi is not actually Mississippi's problem. Mississippi is America's problem. Because if America wanted to do something about what has been going on in Mississippi, it could have stopped by now. It wouldn't have been in the past few years between 40 and 50 churches bombed and burned. You see, and this lead me to say, all of the burning and bombing that was done to us and the houses, nobody never said too much about that, and nothing was done. But let something be burned, by a black man, and then, my God, you see, the flag is drenched with our blood. Because, you see, so many of our ancestors was killed because we have never accepted slavery. We had to live on it, but we've never wanted it. So we know that this flag is drenched with our blood. So what the young people are saying now, give us a chance to be young men, respected as a man. As we know, this country was built on the black backs of black people across this country. And if we don't have it, you ain't gonna have it either, because we gonna tear it up. That's what they saying. And people ought to understand that. I don't see why they don't understand it. They know what they've done to us. All across this country, they know what they've done to us. This country is desperately sick, and man is on the critical list. I really don't know where we...
And see, guys, that was the difference of women of the past. Those women were for community. Those women were God-fearing. Those women respected their bodies. That's before the advent of radical feminism. The black woman was the greatest woman ever. No woman was greater than the American black woman. But she has become a shadow of her former self, and her constituents to try to bring her back to valor and greatness. In modern times, they're ashamed, denigrated, and silenced, no different than the Marxists of that time, which were the KKK. One will argue that some or percentage of our women have been allies of white supremacist talking points and ideologies and tactics.
1962, Hamer and 17 others went to the courthouse in Indianola, Mississippi to register to vote. According to PBS, most of the group was blocked from even attempting to register. Only Hamer and one other man were allowed to fill out an application and take a literacy test. At the time, literacy tests were purposefully designed to keep black people from voting. And when Hamer was asked to explain de facto laws, she later recalled that, "I knowed as much about a facto law as a horse knows about Christmas Day." After failing the literacy test, the group was denied the right to register to vote. On the way home, their bus was stopped by police and fined $100 for being too yellow. Then the persecution got worse. The owner of the plantation where Hamer worked and lived demanded that she withdraw her application to vote.
Mr. Marlowe told me that I would have to go down and withdraw my registration or leave because they wasn't ready for that in Mississippi.
Hamer refused and was immediately thrown off the plantation where she had lived and worked for 18 years. She temporarily stayed with a friend before finding a new home, and just narrowly missed being murdered by those who were trying to suppress the black vote.
They shot in the house 15 times thinking that I was there.
On January 10, 1963, Hamer was finally able to pass the literacy test. According to The Nation, after her second attempt on December 4th, she told the registrar, quote, "You'll see me every 30 days till I pass." A month later, she passed.
And once again, guys, that was a time where education was important, mostly in our community. That was a time when our women were paragons of greatness. That was a time, guys, when black women were the greatest women.
Fall comes to us in its own time.
Fighters, keepers, losers, we
And those women are hard to find there, guys. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers. The fall of life have beset a lot of black men. And black men, many of them are checking out, black and white.
Despite now being registered to vote, she discovered that she still wasn't allowed to vote because she didn't have any poll tax receipts. In some parts of the United States, people were required to pay a tax in order to vote. A tax put in place to ensure that the poorest people, who were often people of color, didn't get a voice in the government. And they weren't subtle about this fact either. For instance, in 1939, Alabama's Tuscaloosa News published an editorial that read in part, "This newspaper believes in white supremacy, and it believes that the poll tax is one of the essentials for the preservation of white supremacy." In 1962, the United States passed the 24th Amendment, which outlawed poll taxes for federal elections. Despite this, Hamer was still denied the right to vote a year later because it wasn't really enforced until 1965. And to this day, 8 states, including Mississippi, still haven't ratified the amendment. While Pap worked to pay off their sharecropping debt at the plantation, Hamer continued working toward voter registration and desegregation. On June 9, 1963, Hamer and 9 other activists were returning on a bus from a voter registration and civic education training session in Charleston, South Carolina. The activists had tried to integrate lunch counters at the various bus stations along their way home, and their protest had enraged their bus driver. According to Fannie Lou Hamer, America's Freedom-Fighting Woman by Megan Parker Brooks, the driver...
My children told me the plantation owner was angry because I had gone down, tried to register. After they told me, my husband came and said the plantation owner was raising Cain because I had tried to register. And before he quit talking, the plantation owner came.
And see, guys, when you hear people talk about community, you can't take those women serious until they march like Fannie Lou Hamer. Fannie Lou Hamer didn't talk about it. She was about it. She didn't mind marching. She didn't mind laying her life down on the line for the advancement of black people. But see, a lot of women want to talk community. They want to talk about saving the community. But they're not doing anything of substance to do it. They only talk a good game. But I did a show back in the past, and that show said, until they march. And that's why you men, you don't have enough time to keep waiting for a righteous woman. Because the greatest women of the past are gone. And finders, keepers, losers, weepers. What say you?
Fall comes to us in its own time.
Finders, keepers, losers, weepers.
And said, Fannie Lou, do you know, did Pap tell you what I said? And I said, yes, sir. He said, well, I mean that if you don't go down and withdraw your registration, you will have to leave. That then if you go down and withdraw, that you still might have to go because we're not ready for that in Mississippi. And I addressed him and told him that I didn't try to register for you. I tried to register for myself. I had to leave that same night. On the 10th of September, 1962, 16 bullets were fired into the home of Mr. and Mrs. Robert Tucker for me. That same night, 2 girls were shot in Rooseville, Mississippi. Also, Mr. Joe McDonald's house was shot in. I was carried to the county jail and put in the booking room. They left some of the people in the booking room and began to place us in cells.
She had Mississippi in her bones. Martin Luther King or the SNCC field secretaries, they couldn't do what Fannie Lou Hamer did. They couldn't be a sharecropper and express what it meant, right? And that's what Fannie Lou Hamer did.
And it wasn't too long before 3 white men came to my cell. One of these men was the State Highway Patrol. He So we're going to make you wish you was dead. I was in jail when Matthew Evans was murdered. All of this is on account of we want to register to become first-class citizens. And if the Freedom Democratic Party...
And one will argue, guys, when black people and black women were once paragons of virtue, they have been reduced to nothing, guys. They have been reduced to nothing because they don't personify what women of the past personified.
Is not seated now. I question America. Is this a...
In many Mississippi counties, blacks have always been in the majority, which means whites have had a problem. If you've got the land and the money, but not the numbers, it's natural, as Humphreys McGee says, to want control. In Mississippi, white control has made the past hard to distinguish from the present. More than anyone else, the spirit of resistance to this control has been Fannie Lou Hamer. At the 1964 Democratic Convention, Mrs. Hamer was a leader of the attempt to unseat the regular Democratic delegation from Mississippi.
Mississippi is still a very rough place. You know, people is not just walking up like they used to do in the past, walking out, you know, shooting a man down or getting maybe 200 or 300 people carrying you out and lynching you, but it's in a more settled way. You know, they can let you starve to death, not give you jobs. These are some of the things that's happening right now in Mississippi. See, Mississippi is not actually Mississippi's problem. Mississippi is America's problem. Because if...
And God, this poor woman was a true black queen. This poor black woman stood by her man that was a farmer. This black woman understood the importance of sacrifice and loving her man and supporting her family and supporting her community. Unlike selfish women here in America, they only think about themselves and will divorce you on a dime when they don't feel like loving you anymore. That's why I'm convinced that men are the true romantics. And only a woman that's a godly woman or a woman that's been raised right can love a man when she doesn't feel like it, because marriage is not about how you feel, but marriage is about the duty and the responsibility of the marriage.
America wanted to do something about what has been going on in Mississippi. It could have stopped by now. It wouldn't have been in the past few years between 40 and 50 churches bombed and burned.
And I would say, guys, out of all of them, none was greater than Mahalia Jackson. Because Mahalia Jackson, guys, was a godly woman. She wasn't a Christian feminist. She didn't talk God, but she lived it. She was a woman of intention. Thank you, The Quiet Storm, for sharing the stream. To the 12 that are watching, guys, share this stream. Someone needs to hear about the black women of the past. They always say we always running down black women. We're not. We're talking about the behavior. But Mahalia Jackson was a paragon of greatness. She was a good woman. She was a godly woman. She was couth. She wasn't ran through. She wasn't horned around like many modern women now. And guys, before we get back to this, you're going to see the transformation of women like Mahalia Jackson compared to this trash that we have now. guys, what you see now is something that was designed. It was social engineering. And shout out to Red Lipstick Vibe for that clip. But you're right, Sower C. It is a dramatic degradation. It is a dramatic degradation of Sower C. But women like Mahalia Jackson were godly women. They understood the power and the transform the power of grace, prayer, and community. But what you have now is a monstrosity. Mahalia Jackson, out of all the four, was my number one favorite. There was no bad with Mahalia Jackson. In my opinion, it was all good. The only bad I would say is this, that the churches now don't replicate what Mahalia Jackson replicated. And the ugly is that the alphabet mafia has more or less invaded the black church, and some of the talking points that were more or less not germane in the past.
Did you know that Mahalia Jackson, the Queen of Gospel, was baptized in the Mississippi River? Black river baptisms are sacred rituals that harness the transformational power of water, and many hope that this ritual of transformation would help bring an end to their oppression. Mahalia was born in New Orleans in 1911. As a teenager, her congregation processed from the church down to the river dressed in all white, singing as they reached the banks. She was eased underwater by the gentle hands of the minister.
And see, guys, it was women like Mahalia Jackson. It was women like Mahalia Jackson and your grandmother and your great-great-grandmother that prayed, and they prayed us to where we're at now. It was years of prayer and sacrifice where your grandmothers and your great-great-grandmothers prayed. And while some were under witchcraft and tyranny, or more or less followed the ancient religions that were brought from Africa, many believed in what was called call and response. And they didn't see the Bible based on the oppression more or less submitted by white men of that time, but they saw the Bible in the spirit of liberation as relates to the Israelites.
And she emerged reborn. During the Civil Rights Movement, Mahalia's soul-stirring voice was a symbol of strength. She sang the spiritual songs that she had grown up with around the world, and even alongside Martin Luther King Jr. when he made his most famous speeches.
A voice like this comes only once in a millennium.
She became a true icon of faith, music, and an eternal source of inspiration.
He knows what people are plotting to do to you right now. He knows all that. He knows how to stop it. And if man is so powerful, so strong, why didn't he stop them earthquakes and these whirlwinds? He ain't nothing but a piece of clay just like me and you. Ain't nothing to it. So I fear nothing but God. And I trust in the Lord, because I know he's got his angels. He's a fence of protection around me. And I glorify him. And I want the world to know that God is able. Don't doubt him. God is pure. And God loves us. Most of all, he loves us without us loving him. He came to a world that rejected him. Why can't we love God? My. My soul feels happy now.
I'm going home to live with my Lord. Sooner will be done. My trouble of this world, oh, my trouble in this world. Lord, my trouble in this world. Lord, how soon done to trouble of this world. I'm going home. Ooh, to leave with my Lord. Willie.
And God, this was a time where black music and black spirituals was more prevalent, not only in the black church, but in the world, because we sung it from the heart. But music now is not sung from the heart, guys. That's why music from the past changed people's lives. But music now, guys, sadly, is mostly entertainment. Mahalia Jackson, guys, she lived what she sung. That's why you can feel the power in her music. You can feel what the old folks say was the spirit. But you can't feel that anymore, guys, because it's hard to find good black women.
Fall comes to us in its own time. Fighters, keepers, losers, we.
Take my hand, lead me on, lest thou Lord, you know I am tired. am weak, and I am but I've been through the storm.
And Lee, I'm extremely happy to have this opportunity to express my appreciation for this great person.
And see, guys, it was slavery and the struggles of slavery that made us great as a people. And it was the transformative power of the gospel and prayer that kept black people together. It wasn't perfect. We had our struggles, but it was a lot better than it is now.
I know you both meant it so much to Mahalia, and I'm sure Professor Dorsey and Bob Weaver, you'll agree that Mahalia loved her God.
She did, no doubt about that.
And she loved her country.
She did love her country, and she loved her God.
And she loved her people.
She did do.
And Mahalia loved all people that were busy doing good things for others, because that's really how she spent so much of her time. And just this past summer, Mahalia was visiting here with us, and she had received a tribute to her goodness. She was very proud of it. We'd like to show that to you now. Mahalia, in your life, you've accomplished so many things that I imagine you never thought of. For instance, this beautiful award that was given to you not long ago.
Yes.
St. Vincent de Paul Award for serving God through the needs of men. Mahalia Jackson, 1971.
Well, that's the only way, because God don't need nothing. He had the earth full of everything. What can we do but help each other, help humanity? The earth is full of everything.
And see, guys, once again, Mahalia Jackson was consistent with being a virtuous woman. Something like modern women, they're not consistent with what, they're not consistent with women of the past and women now. And Shepard Tracer, thank you, brother, for giving your responses. I appreciate it. You say yes I guess you say yes back then. We aren't living in the South of the 1920s. Those Bavarian thoughts don't hold up till today. I don't know what you mean by that. Explain that. But Shepard Tracer, if you're talking about race or mixing, well, that's a misnomer, brother. Because here's the facts. The one-drop rule still applies to many. Even though Amber Rose is of a mixed ancestry, she does acknowledge her African roots. There are many people that have mixed race ancestry, they're like mulattoes or have Morano or indigenous roots, but they still consider themselves black. So I respectfully disagree with you if you're talking about we aren't living in the South in the 1920s. Those Bavarian thoughts. I radically disagree with you, sir, because even though they have a diverse ancestry, most black people, if you look at their phenotypes or their genotype, they have about 20 to 30% of European blood. Some have 30, 20, 10, or 5. And so I respect your position, but they still do hold up today. The one-drop rule still holds up, because if that's not the case, then why do so many consider Kamala Harris black? Why do they consider W. Du Bois black? W. Du Bois had mixed ancestry based on what you're saying. And also Thurgood Marshall. So I respect your position, and I respect your right to have an opinion, but I respectfully disagree.
Everything. So how can we serve God? God don't need nothing but us to love each other and help each other. And that's the way I try to do, is to try to help my fellow man. Try to do some good to those that people say is no good, to those that are drunk. If I see a wino in the street, I'm not too proud to speak to him. And if he see me, say hello, and most of them do see me. They don't call me Miss Jackson. Hello, Mahalia. I say, how you, baby? Miss Jackson, can you let me have a quarter? Well, I just give it to her. You got to learn to show kindness to those that feel that nobody cares about them. And I
agree with Mahalia Jackson. Mahalia Jackson was a woman of God and faith. But see, watch this, guys. Let a poor black man that doesn't make a certain amount of money ask for a level of kindness. And many modern women, white or black, will call them broke, dusty, and no good. And that's a problem. Being kind doesn't cost you anything, sadly.
I'd rather do that than to be one of these, some of these so-called smart folks telling them they're able to do this, that, and other, when all blessings come from God. And how can I love God without loving you, whom I've never seen? God made man in his image, and I must first treat him right, and I'm treating my God right.
And Sister Mahalia Jackson is correct. You got black women, guys, now that say they love God and they love Jesus, but they have a hatred for the men that are created in God's image. So how can you say you love God and you love the Lord or the law, but you hate the black men that are created in his image? And that's a problem, guys. And another great icon, the last one, is Ruby Dee, the wife of Ossie Davis. Beautiful black woman. One of the top 4 in my repertoire that I consider some of the greatest black women ever. Guys, look how beautiful Ruby Dee was. Look how elegant she was. Look how beautiful she is, guys. How many of you guys yearn for beautiful women like Ruby Dee that was feminine and elegant? She was married to Ossie Davis for over 50-some years. This is what you call black love, guys. This is what true black love was. This is what true black love was. Something that some of you young men yearn for, and something that you might not get until you travel abroad and get you a foreign bride.
Shoes shine, used to cost a dime, a penny.
Bobby Hutton, 17. April 16, 1968, in Oakland, shot as he surrendered, his hands in the air after a 90-minute shootout involving over 48 policemen. Tommy Lewis, August the 25th, 1968, Los Angeles, who was...
Guys, look how beautiful of a couple they were. Look how beautiful Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis were. Guys, y'all gotta understand, I'm a Gen X. I grew up in Generation X. I grew up in a time where we enjoyed the benefits of the old school and also the new school. But They don't make them like that anymore. I agree, guys. They don't make them like that anymore, sadly.
Before we dive into the love story of Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee, I just want to thank everybody that has been enjoying and supporting this Black History series. At Hue I Do, my best friend and I created this platform because we feel like it is very important for our weddings, Black weddings and marriages, to be shown in
The Quiet Storm said, let me see, hold tight. But we say, I can't see that comment. But you're correct, brother. But they say we don't like black women over here, Coach. Right. I see your point. They said we don't like black women over here, Coach. I shame the devil with those lies. No doubt, brother. I agree with you. Because we do love black women. But you'll never see none of the black women that hate black men do any shows talking about their love for black men. We don't hate black women. We hate their behaviors and the bad things that black women in the West become. They were the greatest women ever at some point, but no longer are they like the women of the past. And that's why I had to do this show, guys, because fall comes to us in insult times. Finders keepers, losers weepers, and men are looking for beautiful women that were relics of the past.
Fall comes to us in its own time. Finders keepers, losers weep.
and its imperfections and perfections, and that is commonly ignored during Black History Month. Y'all know how struggling and shallow Black History Month can be. So anyway, thank you. Now let's talk about Ossie and Ruby Dee's love. Ossie and Ruby Dee met at work in 1946 because they were both cast in the Broadway play Jeb, which was a play about a Black veteran returning home from war. 3 years later, they got married in 1948, which was actually the second wedding for Ruby Dee, but Ossie's first. Ruby admitted that she resented Ossie earlier in their marriage because while he got to be away for these different projects he was working on, she was at home with the kids playing wife.
They're freeze,
and
guys.
so she's.
That's why I said, guys, they weren't perfect. You have women like Ruby Dee. What you guys don't understand, guys, what you saw in Ruby was the beginning of modern feminism. Because why would she be mad at her husband? And why would she be competing with her husband? And the fact she was married twice could be problematic. She should have been grateful that her husband was out here doing his thing. But she was competing with her husband like so many women compete with their husbands now. Why would you be mad that he was doing what he's supposed to do? It's being a provider. But guys, the nature of a man, regardless of the time, is nothing new. That's nothing new under the sun. Even though the women were better then, they were still women. They still had issues with their nature just like men had with theirs. And that's why, once again, guys, women of the past are paragons of virtue, but they still were human. And that's why my number one, when it comes down to being a spiritual woman, was perhaps Mahalia Jackson. I would say the Mahalia Jackson, and then I would say Fannie Lou Hamer and Mary McLeod Bethune were a close second. I'd probably slightly go with Fannie Lou Hamer. And then the last one will be Ruby Dee. Because Ruby Dee is personifying more of the modern woman to some degree, even though she's way better or superior to the current modern woman.
Told him that. And one thing he did moving forward was when he got cast on a job, he would see if there was a role for Ruby Dee. Or if not, then hey, the whole family can come instead of me being the only one that's gone. And then vice versa. When she got cast for roles, he stayed at home with the kids. So they created a balance that worked for them. They released an autobiography in 1998 that detailed their lives, including when they had an open marriage. This little experiment took place in the 1960s, kind of around the time when Aussie was starting to get cast on bigger projects with bigger names, like Sean Connery. So Aussie was the one that presented this idea to Ruby, of course, because he didn't want to cheat, essentially. But he felt like the issue that usually comes with cheating isn't so much about the actions, but the deceit and the lies that come with it. So by being open, that removed all of it.
And see, guys, I would never thought about that they had an open marriage. And so that's why I say Ruby was more consistent with being more like modern women. And you got to understand women like Fannie Lou Hamer and Mahalia Jackson, in general, women of the South, even though some were sneaky with it, tended to be more virtuous. But the more north you got, you start seeing more women like this. And you got to understand, she was in Hollywood, so what else can you expect?
That. The conditions of this open marriage were for them to remain honest with each other, keep this private, and to bring back no scandal nor disease to the family. Now, you know this didn't last long, and you know Aussie was the one that put a stop to it, and you probably know why. But ultimately, it was kind of the reset their relationship needed. These two were madly in love with each other throughout their 56 years of marriage. Whenever they'd be away from each other, they would send each other pictures and write letters. And honestly...
And let me tell you something, guys. Don't you ever be in an open relationship with a woman. It's the dumbest thing you could ever do. Because she can always get more ping than you can get cat. So if that's your woman and you agree to an open relationship, she could have 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 hot dogs by the time you take her back. And even though they might say, well, men do it, men and women are not the same, guys. You know it and I know it. They're not the same. Because on the flip side, if you said you want to sleep with a couple of men while she slept with women, she's not going to accept you back. Because she can't handle the fact of you being in her by another man.
A lot of those letters are basically smut. And if you want to read them, they are available at the New York Public Library. After Aussie passed in 2005, Ruby Dee was asked did she have any regrets, and she said sometimes she would come home from work and just kind of take her time before getting into bed, and by the time she got to bed, he would be asleep. And now she says she wished she would have hurried up. Now they are together in a big old urn with the words inscribed, "We're in this thing together," which was their phrase throughout their marriage. Don't forget, follow and come back tomorrow for more Black History.
I want you to crawl. I want you to crawl.
And guys, Ruby was a Scorpio. She was fine. I ain't gonna stunt. Ruby was fine. She was a fine black woman.
I want you to crawl. I want you to crawl.
She's intense too. Them Scorpios are intense.
Look at again.
Yeah, I don't know what she was doing there, man. She was on some fetish stuff, but anyway, guys, this has been a good one, guys. If y'all want to, I'm gonna drop the link. We can talk for a few minutes. I'm gonna have a call-in line if you guys want to. But were women of the past the paragons of greatness? I'm gonna run this commercial real quick, guys. And then if you want to, guys, we can have a conversation. If not, I'm going to end the stream, but I appreciate you, the #1 donors on tonight. The Quiet Storm, Kevin White. I forgot the other brothers to donate. A couple other brothers donated on tonight too. I appreciate it. But guys, I'm gonna drop the link if you guys want to come through. But before we start, guys, you know and I know they be lying on them brothers. And it's time out for Pigeon-ish.
Flies eat poop. Get over it. Okay? That's for you.
Yeah. Shut up, Kosher. Yeah. Shut up. Whoa. Shut up, Kosher. Ballin'. Take it back. Like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin'. Like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. I put in work, couldn't wait for mine. I got 9, couldn't wait in line. Game time. Shut up, Kosher. Shut up. Shut up, Kosher. Take it back. And I go beast like 23, 10 toes down, glued to the concrete. And I do me, keep to myself to find my peace. Been ballin' a little bit, woke up feeling rich. Still remember days I had to grind to get a cent. Still remember days when I spent a penny pinch. Now this bank account is lit and it's up and it's stuck, just like Cardi said. Same faces around me and it's hardly friends. Saying how you do it, but you hardly did. Fibbing on the ground, yeah, you probably is. Ballin' like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin' like it's game time. Shut up, Kosher. Shut up. Shut up, Kosher. Take it back. I got 9, couldn't wait in line. Game time. Game time. Locked in when it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Pull up from the logo like it's game time. Same zone, so won't catch me on the same time. No, time is money, so I cannot give away time. Shut up, Kosher. Shut up. Shut up, Kosher. Take it back. But they don't really know still. See the glow up and I can't believe the glow still. Me plus me, that's a whole lot of money. Wake up in the morning, I can smell the bag coming. 3 whole years and these records keep running. Don't talk to me if you can't match the numbers. Ballin' like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin' like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. I put in work, couldn't wait for mine. I got 9, couldn't wait in line. Game time. Game time. Locked in when it's game time. Shut up, Kosher. Shut up. Shut up, Kosher. Take it back.
All right, guys, 919-885-4181. Bring it to you live once again from the greatest state in the union, guys. Call in, guys, if you want to. I would love to hear from some of the women. Are black women of the past the greatest women ever? Call in if you like. I would love to hear it. If black women of the past were the greatest women ever, going to drop the link. If no one don't show up, I'm going to end the stream. I appreciate to a sow a seed for the 5 International Quiet Storm and Kevin White. Thank you, guys. And if no one shows up, I'm going to end the show. So 919-885-4181. And guys, let's have a conversation.
Let's go. It was simple. When the end's low, switch the tempo. Where my friends go. I go hard day and night, 1 to 1, no surprise. See the hate in their eyes. My brothers blood money bleed. I got the game in the squeeze. What would you do for some green? What would you do for some blues? Go pick and choose, a family to cheese. Some people not built like that. Some people get killed like that.
pressure like water, lights, mortgage, I've been at bills like that. Now I got kids like that. No wonder why I feel like that. Some people go to war for nothing. Me, I go to war for some. Some people need knives and guns. Same ones just talk and run. Some people go to war for none. Me, I go to war for some. Some people need knives and guns. Same ones just talk and run. When my friends go, it was simple. When the end's low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, bet I strike, I go hard day and night. Money on the line, keep calling. Money on the books, need all that. My kids, they'll be ballin'. Got a real bankroll, not for Instagram. My mama on the line, keep calling. Praying for me, know I need all that. Told me it's not about ballin'. Real blessed, but I'm still sinning, man. What would you do for a win? What would you do for your friends? What if this life is a foe? What if it all is pretend? What if you roll to the end? What if you started again? This is real life, not a game. I fight my battles to win. But some people go to war for none. Me, I go to war for some. Some people need knives and guns. Same ones just talk and run. Some people go to war for none. Me, I go to war for some. Some people need knives and guns.
All right, guys, no one has came up, and that's fine. I'm going to run this real quick. If no one will come up after this, I'm going to end the stream. Guys, thank you for tuning in on tonight. Hope you guys had an awesome Thanksgiving. God has been so good to me. My money is coming up. My business opportunities are getting stronger. And I'm grateful to all the good brothers who have shown love on tonight.
I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over. And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
To exclusively marry black men. We are in the middle of a crisis. Black men are in crisis. And anybody who denies that black men are in crisis is ignoring the data, the science, the research, the statistics. It is not a figment of your imagination that there are not enough eligible black men to marry.
It's been an honor serving with you all. Autobots, roll out. We rolling.
Nanobots, transform.
She lie on them brothers, separate uncles and nephews and cousins and try to pin us against mothers. How you a woman but ain't got a man for protection, but you undercover? How do you think that we suffer? Thought we were sisters and brothers. Now you get birthed in the gutter. When they rap, they the same ones that cut you. Be the same ones who yelling they love you. Be the same ones who calling me nigga. After that wanna say I'm his brother. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. 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 So all going on in your man, you don't get it. And using your women as splitters, then hitters. Put you in place and our family ruin. Target your boys, you don't see what they doing. We gotta beat them, you wanna join them, we just leave them. Your feminist feminism, more like treason. Politics, you don't even follow leaders. First is master probably cause of your Jesus.
God is white. Isn't it obvious? Well, that is obvious, but we don't know if it's obvious that God is white. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that Jesus did not have blonde hair and blue eyes. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the images of Jesus that are on prison walls and churches throughout the world are not historically correct, because history teaches us that Jesus was born in a region where the people had color. There's proof in the very Bible that you ask us to read in Revelation, 1st chapter, verse 14 and 15, that Jesus had hair like wool and feet the color of brass. Just what are you saying? I'm not saying anything. I'm proving to you that Jesus was not, and I might quote one of our Indian brothers, he was not a pale face.
This would have been a dick, you didn't believe it. You reap the benefits from your achievements. Penitentiary, all we get is deleted. But God on our side, baby, we gon' beat it. She lie on them brothers. She lie on them brothers.
I've been on you, and I'm the biggest, baddest beast.
Separate uncles and nephews and cousins and try to pin us against mothers. How you a woman but ain't got a man for protection, but you undercover? How do you think that we suffer? Thought we were sisters and brothers. Now you get birthed in the gutter. When they rap, they the same ones that cut you. Be the same ones who yelling they love you. Be the same ones who calling me nigga. After that wanna say I'm his brother. She loud and brothers. 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 She loud and brothers.
Breaking all these black men with what? And they don't give a fuck. Yeah, this man hit me fucking grabbed a rock and it hit me in my fucking face because I would have given him my number. And all y'all just fucking watch. You don't see that shit? You don't see that shit? What y'all do? I want y'all to be a man. I want y'all to be a man and fucking do something. Y'all gonna let a man hit me in my face.
Roll out, transform, 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 roll out.
All right, guys, 919-885 4181, 919-885-4181. If you want to call in and talk about why black women in the past were the greatest women ever, the paragons of greatness, the paragons of virtue, call in. I would love to hear from a woman if possible. But if you choose not to call in, that's fine. But I'd love to hear from one of the women or one of the brothers, briefly. And if not, guys, we're going to end this stream in a minute. If not, we're going to end this stream in a minute, guys. So, guys, once again, you can call in if you want to talk about this show on tonight, as these conversations are very vital. 919-885-4181. Were black women of the past the paragons of virtue. So it appears that no one wants to call in, and that's fine. I appreciate it, guys. So, guys, we're going to end the stream. Thank you, guys, for calling in, or not calling in, to watching the show tonight. And, guys, we are signing off. Once again, thank you. Be well.
When my friends go, it was simple. When the ends low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, then I strike. I go hard day and night, yeah. I go hard day and night. 1-1, no surprise. See the hate in their eyes. My brother's blood money bleed. I got the game in the squeeze. What would you do for some green? What would you do for some blues? Go pick and choose the fam of the cheese. Some people not built like that. Some people get killed like that. Pressure like water, lights, mortgage. I've been at bills like that. Now I got kids like that. No wonder why I feel like that. Some people go to war for nothing. Me, I go to war for something.
Before there was the manosphere, I was. Before there was the internet, I was.
When the ends low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, then I strike. I go hard day and night. Money on the line, keep calling. Money on the books, need all that. My kids, they'll be ballin'. Got a real bankroll, not for Instagram. My mama on the line, keep calling. Praying for me, know I need all that. Told me it's not about ballin'. Real blessed, but I'm still sinning, man. What would you do for a win? What would you do for your friends? What if this life is a foe? What if it all was pretend? What if you rode to the end? What if you started again?
Fire! The kosher clinician. Men have asked us to play by their rules, but the rules have just changed. Nanobots, transform. I am Kosher Prime, Sentinel, Captain, Advocate for Men. We have crossed a threshold in a time where men are under attack. But if we join forces, we can defeat those that seek to overthrow us in a negative way. Nanobots, transform.